On today's show, entrepreneurs aren't what they used to be. I'm Jeremy Fisher. This is The Awakening. Entrepreneurs aren't what they used to be. Usually when you hear someone say something like, things aren't the way they used to be, they mean it in a negative way. It's often kind of a passive insult to the way that the current generation is handling things, and how much better the previous generation was at doing the job. Today's biggest generational target of the media is the millennial generation. I can't tell you how many times I've run across articles with titles like, How Millennials Have Destroyed the Economy, and Why Entitlement Among Millennials Has Reached an All-Time High. So many people seem to jump on the bandwagon of criticizing the new generation and how awful those millennials are. Those entitled, narcissistic, buried in their phones, disrespectful millennials. Why can't they just be like the famous greatest generation? I wonder if those people know that the generation before them was saying the same things about them. They just didn't know it because they didn't have social media and the internet to constantly regurgitate those views. Criticizing the next generation isn't anything new. A few years back, Life magazine highlighted an essay from 28-year-old Bill Malden, who was tired of the attacks that he had had on his generation who were accused of lacking that, quote, American spirit and enterprise. Bill's generation was branded as lazy and entitled and unmotivated to go out in the world and make things happen. Sound familiar? You might think that's an article from 10 years ago. Actually, it was published in 1950. Bill was a member of what is now labeled as the greatest generation. His generation complained about the next generation, and that generation complained about the next generation, and so on. I'm sure millennials are next to be the ones complaining about the new crop of young folks entering the world. So why are humans so unapproving of the next generation? Well, maybe it's because the next generation are our own kids, and we notice the dumb things they do. And because we're mature adults, we forgot how dumb the things were that we did at their age. And watching them repeat the same mistakes makes us remember our stupidity. Or maybe we see the advantages they have and wish we had the same at their age, but see that they're wasting it, even though we wasted the advantages that the generation before us didn't have. Or maybe it's because there's some resentment there, that the next generation is full of youth and set to inherit the world, and we're on our way out, whether we want to be or not. After all, youth is wasted on the young, right? Whatever the reason is, it's a waste of time. We know most stereotypes have some truth to them, but all generalizations are incomplete pictures of any group as a whole. There are lazy and entitled millennials, just like there are lazy Gen Xers and boomers, and every single generation ever. It's likely that each generation presented with the same environment and opportunities as the next would react the exact same as any other generation. It's probably not so much generational behavior as it is human nature. So if we remove the generational aspect of things and look at society, what we'll find in today's world is a totally different group of entrepreneurs than in the past. Because society and technology today are totally different than in the past. So when I say entrepreneurs aren't what they used to be, I mean something very different. My father was a meat cutter, and 30 years ago when I was a child, there were 2 grocery stores in our small town. He worked at one of them. If he didn't like his job, he would have to apply to the other grocery store. And if there weren't any openings, he didn't get to change his job. He could have opened his own butcher shop, but that would have required money for a building and tools and marketing. Money he didn't have. His options were limited. Today, that small town has 20 different grocery stores. If he wants to change jobs, he could have another one tomorrow at one of the other grocery stores. Or he could become a meat department consultant. Or he could start his own YouTube channel generating ad revenue teaching people how to properly fillet meats. Or he could have a website and book released on Amazon that educates new chefs on proper cutting techniques. He could hold paid classes at the local event center teaching new hunters how to butcher their own animals. There are tons of options that he would have today that just didn't exist in the past. And these ideas aren't something that requires a Shark Tank-style, in-your-face person to do. We can be shy and run an online store, selling products to thousands of people, never having one face-to-face interaction. We can be bad at marketing, but sell products on Amazon who's great at marketing and make a good living. We can teach classes online to thousands of students and never have to face our fear of public speaking. We can be shy, introverted, antisocial, ugly, young, old, have disabilities, work every day in our underwear, all kinds of things that are typically not associated with the title entrepreneur. We don't have to be a cool kid. Being a cool kid might not even be the advantage that it used to be. In fact, let's hear what astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson has to say about this phenomenon.
And I'm old enough to remember the old days. If you were a geek in high school, you're the one who got the wedgie by the football quarterback.
Right.
You're the one who was exploited, and you call you four eyes, whatever it is. And then the quarterback learned that they needed you to fix their computer. And then the stock value of geeks rose. The richest person in the world is the patron saint of nerds, Bill Gates. So the world is different because of this, because we only enter the future on the intellectual capital brought to this world by the geekosphere.
That was from a 2015 Daily Show visit that Tyson made. He mentioned Bill Gates, but at the time of this recording, the richest person in the world is another computer geek, Amazon founder Jeff Bezos. Gone forever are the days when an entrepreneur needs to be loud, boisterous, pushy, and one of those always be closing style salespeople. That is now an antiquated way of thinking, outdated, in software terms, obsolete. Entrepreneurs aren't what they used to be because they don't have to be. They can be who they are instead of who they think they have to be. Technology has made the playing field level for entrepreneurs, and today it's less about how much people like the entrepreneur and more about how much people like what the entrepreneur does. Our generation, which is just another category humans like to use to divide each other with, is functionally irrelevant. But what do I know? My opinion probably doesn't matter because I'm just another one of those entitled, lazy millennials. That's it for today's show. You can find career and business ideas at theawakening.com. If opportunity doesn't come knocking, let's build a door.